Hey, how's it going, Full Spin Club? My name is David Chimusoro. I am here with my man David, and today we will be talking about If You're Reading This Is Too Late by Drake and Damn by Kendrick Lamar. A double feature. Excited to be here, y'all.
Yeah, dude, it's going to be great. Welcome to the club.
Excited to be here. Let's talk some music.
If I die, I'm a legend. Oh my God.
I got royalty inside my DNA.
I was running through the six with my walk.
And I don't do it for the gram, I do it for Compton. I'm
They
waiting
know to the suitcase. I've been living out of
loyalty.
only see the truth when I'm staring in the mirror. Looking at
My
myself.
left stroke just went viral.
Feel like we one and the same. Our relationship changed.
That I'd rather you trust me than to.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Spin Club. My name is David Stewart. I'm the host of this online album listening club, and this is a very special episode where we are diving into the two juggernauts in the zeitgeist right now. It is Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. Because it's the Full Spin Club and we talk about albums like their books, we are pitting two of their best albums against each other.
Two of their best.
And we are doing If You're Reading This, It's Too Late versus Damn.
Yep.
So, for those that haven't joined us before, there are three main segments to the show. There is On a Pedestal, which typically we each bring three things we like about the record we're listening to. Today we're changing it up a little bit. We're each bringing three things from each, and we're going to decide which album has the highest highs. Then there is On a Spit, which is where we usually bring three roasts about the album we're listening to. But today we're bringing three of the lowest lows from each record. And then finally On a Turntable, which is where we dive in a little deeper and talk about sort of like the themes or nuances. Today it's going to be pretty beef-centric, I'm not going to lie. So we got to talk about the beef between these guys.
We got to talk. I mean, it's in the moment right now.
Yeah, it's in the moment. We got to
do it. I mean, what's been really cool about this album and even just this these last few weeks in music is like I've never been alive for a time when people are just so into talking about song making and song quality and like, oh, this is authentic and this is not, and we're dissecting music like we never have before, which is like really, really fun to see. Like, hey, look at what hip hop can do already.
Right.
But my God, it's Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, dude.
There are only like two other like major moments in my life I can really remember everybody coming together like this, and one of them was when Pokemon Go came out.
Dude, I remember that era. Everybody was outside.
We were all outside.
Michelle Obama's dream came true.
Yeah, we were all outside.
Just people walking.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We were fit.
Yeah.
What happened?
The second time something like this happened where we all came together was when Tiger King came out at the beginning of the pandemic.
Free Joe Exotic. Actually,
Yeah.
nah, you can stay in there,
Nah,
bro.
nah.
You're a sex creep. You can stay.
Everyone in that show is crazy.
You can stay. I'm sorry. Don't free Joe Exotic. That's I know we're gonna be doing hot takes later.
Yeah.
That's my hot take. Don't free Joe Exotic. Stay away from my man Joe Shiesty.
I'm glad you brought up later because there is one more section we have yet to talk about. It's called Record Scratch. It is where I come in with like the Jeopardy Daily Double and drop in some mini games. We have one long-standing mini game. It's called Hitter Full of Shit. It's where I bring up takes that I've made up and we decide whether they're good or bad takes.
Sweet.
And then the second one is a surprise. That'll be a little fun, a little improv based. It should be a good time.
Hells yeah.
So with that being said, are you ready? You just pulled them out. Yeah,
I just put up both of them just so I can have references. I like to have references.
Oh yeah, man. Be prepared. You got me.
Cite your sources.
You see me with the iPad.
Internet. Cite your sources. Y'all don't cite your sources enough. TikTok is not a source. Wikipedia is. That was my Kevin.
The editable one.
Exactly.
I've been blocked from Wikipedia before.
I remember, like, genuinely in high school, we had a chemistry teacher who was like, you can just use Wikipedia. And we were all like, what? But, like, low key, though.
Yeah.
You can't.
I mean, they police it.
They police it really, really well. Wikipedia. Mr. Monic, you were onto something, bro.
It's
Wikipedia
true.
has formed so much of my brain.
I donated monthly to Wikipedia because they often ask for donations, and then my credit card switched, and I never
I need
re-upped.
to donate to Wikipedia. I feel like a terrible person.
Yeah, I mean, I was like $1.75 for a month, or like per month for like 2 years.
They've never failed us.
Exactly.
They've never been mean. They've never even given us no weird ads. They just stay out of the way.
Yeah,
and give us the information we need.
Exactly.
Allow us to make a meme every now and then. Change
Right.
someone's birthday to Owned by Cat Williams. It's
Yep.
like just the little things in life that keep us going.
Yeah, someone changed Drake's child count to 2 during the beef. It was quickly changed back, but they changed it to 2 during the beef.
All right. Yeah.
All right, so I typically start out the show with give me a one-word description of the album. So in this case, if you could give me a one word for each.
One word for if you're reading this, it's too late. It's immature, but with mature underlined. Like it's a very visual thing.
Okay, yeah.
It wants to be very mature, but it's an immature album.
Sure, that makes sense.
And
yeah, I would say dark.
Dark, dark, yeah.
It hits me as dark every time I hear it.
It's a dark album. If you're reading this, it really is like, it sounds like a note, like one of those kinds of notes, and it's just like, it seemed like that was a thing that he was very much shifting into, and that's the thing of like, I would say that's why I'm like immature with that mature underline, where it wants to feel like this compelling.
Immature lyrics over mature beats.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even just like immature lifestyle over mature themes, and like or vice versa, whichever one of those is correct.
How about damn?
Damn. I would just say shit. Keeping in line with like,
I'll just be like, one word for damn, sheesh.
That album came out legitimately on my 27th birthday.
Oh damn.
Oh damn. And it was just like Kendrick was already my favorite rapper at that point, but I didn't think that he was going to do that.
Right.
And for that to be an entry point into a real stage of life that I'm entering into is literally, I remember staying up till midnight to listen to Damn top to bottom. And by the time that I was done, I remember just feeling like, shit, like, especially, and we'll go into these songs like Fear, where it's just man, okay. So I would definitely say that, because it's like, it's an existential, and I probably shouldn't keep saying the bad words, but you know what, we're podcast wedding, but yeah, it's that. I would say, I was like, shit, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. There's a reason it's a Pulitzer Prize winning record.
Absolutely earned.
Yeah. All right, so let's pop into our first section here, On a Pedestal. So I think we should do Drake first.
Okay.
And so what is your first highest high of if you're reading this, it's too late?
Yeah, I would say the first highest high, even though I started off with an intense criticism, I really loved this album when it first came out. Like, I remember feeling like, as someone that was on the teeter-totter of like Drake fanhood, this was one that did it for me. Yeah. And I'd say the immediate one is probably Know Yourself. Okay. Like, Know Yourself is probably one of those where it was just like, whatever this aesthetic that he was stepping into when he was putting this album together, this felt like, okay, this is it. Yeah. And without even trying to like continue to keep back, it was just like, that was just like a thing. I was running through this with my woes, and it just felt like this driving energy. I'd say, yeah. Do you want me to do 3 pedestal or just
no? We'll go back and forth.
All right, cool. Yeah, pedestal. What about you?
Okay. So my first one I have written down was The Air of Darkness. I already kind of mentioned this, but like that, I think it was like one of the high points of the record is just like the air of darkness. Know Yourself, you already mentioned, and like Six God in particular. Those 2 tracks where I was like, this feels dark, and Drake rapping with a legit chip on his shoulder is always better than anything else he does. An emphasis on the word legit with chip on his shoulder, because like as he got later in his career, I think that chip on his shoulder was manufactured.
10,000%.
Yeah, and so like I think this album in particular is so compelling because the chip seemed as legit as he could be. And
I would say manufactured by, he became the chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. It was all his own doing.
It was a lot of it became his own doing, but it was just that when it still felt real. I remember even just like songs like 6 p.m. in New York, where he's really gonna rap, where you feel like something is bothering this guy, right? And he's taking it into the music, right? And he's really
Well, even to bring it to the beef today, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like Family Matters, even though it got completely stepped on by the chess move of Kendrick Lamar, Family Matters, he was rapping with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And thus it ripped. It did. Like, there are plot holes.
For sure.
There are plot holes.
There are
but
so
he was,
many plot
but
holes.
he was rapping, you know? And
I think
like,
he was riled up.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I gotta go back. And I personally, on Family Matters, on first listen, I hated that song. I know people were very much into it because it felt like, oh, he's escalating it. And this is something that he does very well, is he knows how to make it feel sonically like something is escalating.
Right.
Like Push-Ups, for example, as a beat, it feels faster, or it feels slightly faster than Like That. But if you listen to how Like That actually makes you feel, Like That like really is like that. And Push-Ups knows how to kind of make it do it where it feels like and there's this deeper 808 like that he got into, or 40 got into on If You're Reading This, and I feel like on Know Yourself that like feels very guttural.
Yeah.
And I
It
think
wakes
that
you up
it
in some
wakes
way.
you up.
Yeah,
You're like, okay.
This is like a gym record. You're right. Like, this is something to like wake up that part of you to get one more rep in, you know, that kind of thing.
Or like you're seeing your ops outside, and it's just like at the end, bro, we all live in the burbs at this point in our lives.
Yeah.
Like, where are your ops?
You're right. The vibe of this record matches the cover art for the one where he's wearing a mask, and I can't even remember that.
That's Dark Light Demo Tapes.
Yeah, Dark Light Demo Tape. It matches that.
It very much so does.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and to your point, like when he has a legitimate chip on his shoulder or something presses him enough that he has to rap, he has given us some great moments.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I mean, after.
Now, linguistically, are they that great? No. But sonically, it's
linguistically, great. I'd even throw some stuff in there because 6 months later, this is when Meek Mill gets thrown into the battle, and he devours Meek Mill.
True.
Because of this, like, I think that was the cementing again of this whole six god persona. Was like, it was very much like a test me record, and then he got thrown, which I now believe was a complete mismatch between Drake and Meek Mill. He just ate him alive. Yeah. And it felt awesome. It's like watching someone get knocked the fuck out.
Oh, Back to Back was so good.
Oh my!
I remember
it was just like.
Yeah, what a time.
He did what?
Yeah, Back to Back was so good.
That was crazy.
There's a lot of talk about how Back to Back is the reason this beef got so out of control. Was because he set such a precedent of just absolutely going in on someone, like poor Meek Mill.
Dude, it was, I mean, just being outside in that summer and Drake being outside music. Yeah. Like, we're hearing a diss record, and is that a world tour or your girls tour? Yeah. It's like, we will really wait. Like, it's like,
ooh.
Like, but also hurt. Now it's like A minor. It's like that.
A minor is tough.
It's
A
minor
is so tough.
When I was listening to that, and I'm just like, and he's holding it for 6 seconds. Yeah. And it's just like, no, you're gonna hear this outside.
Oh yeah.
It really is like Judgment Day. What you wreaked upon someone is now being reaped upon you.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
There is no place that you can go outside in America today in May of 2024 that you're not going to hear not like us at least like 3 times. Right. And this was just a week ago.
Yep. Like that, the A minor line rules so hard.
But back to If You're Reading This.
Back to If You're Reading This. We have more beef to talk about along the way. What is your second pedestal? What's your second highest high?
Second highest high is I think the first one I did a song, so let me probably do a theme just to kind of like. I would say second highest high is maybe it's the most consistent in theme that we've seen we've seen him.
It is the closest he's come to having a coherent piece of work that is not complete streaming spaghetti, you know, like where he's just tossing it at the wall and hoping for something to like stick. Yeah. You're right. It is the most consistently like compact package of a similar theme. You're not wrong.
And on a sonic level, like we felt like we were in the same world. I love Nothing Was the Same. It was a great album. But there's so many songs, and some will say it's range, but it's also like, no, this is a guy that knows how to play the record game so that he continue. This is like who knows how to play the record game so he can continually be number one. This is one of those guys where you see like those kids who've been just like bred to have every stat in basketball.
Yeah.
Like where they're just like he knows exactly what he needs to do to be able to do that. And some of those songs sound like they're, even though they have the same lusciousness to them on Nothing Was the Same, some of these songs don't sound like they're on the same album.
Yeah.
Like it's just a matter of because some of them were so big that we can put them in like
Right.
Just Hold On, We're Going Home is a pop record.
Oh, for sure.
Like
yeah, and it was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
Dude, it was everywhere.
That song was awesome. You did it in karaoke and it ruled. Like it was just like the white suit Drake with the Dude, this is like if Drake had maintained being an actor while being in the hip hop space, he would have given us a whole lot of Hold On, We're Going Home. Yeah. Or it would have felt like Lionel Richie a little bit with a little bit of razzle dazzle, smooth, and but like he can rap too. But I think he didn't want to be the Will Smith. He didn't want to be Will Smith Part 2. He didn't want to be the Fresh Prince Part 2. So they dirtied him up well with this record, and it felt like that. And part of that, I'm not saying all of it was manufactured. I'm sure he was living that life, but also because you're not necessarily from it like that, a little bit is going to feel. But thematically, going back to like the pedestal, thematically it is a very consistent, like where again, whatever this birth of the Sixth God persona, wherever what he was going through, this even just like hearing about the recording process of like they're in hotel rooms and then going straight to the studio and running around, and it feels very underground, even though you're one of the biggest rappers
one of the biggest rappers already.
You just did a milli in a record in a week twice now at this point, but still it feels like this guy that's on the go and he's and it felt like, okay, whatever underdog chip that Drake has felt that he's at up until this point, this is when it felt really, really realized at scale.
Yeah, true. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't this record like a surprise drop?
It was
he wanted out of his record deal.
Mm-hmm.
This was like to finish up his time with like Birdman and all them. Yeah. And
that's the thing is like, even listening to songs like, and that'll probably be that's going to be on the flip side of this is the track with Wayne No Tellin'. I used to love that record because I love Wayne like that.
Yeah.
And then looking back on the relationship, it's like, it feels like they're subbing each other on that record a little bit, which is kind of crazy. But he was you're in the pinnacle, dude. Like, you're up there now.
I think you're right. He's holding on to like the vestiges of feeling like an underdog, even though he's 100% not at that point. He's just still wanting to be because it's a compelling story.
It's a compelling story.
But he's simply not, and that starts to crack the facade. Mm-hmm. Even with our retrospect helping us out right now. Like,
but in the moment, it just felt awesome.
Yeah,
it really was just.
Oh, we were all outside.
We were all outside. Yeah. It's like the music that it's. This album was the start of, not necessarily the start of, but I would say this album was the whole like. The album you play when you're driving somewhere you're not supposed to go. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, and you know that.
Yeah.
But you're like,
but we're going
jam though.
Yeah. I'm gonna have fun.
I'm gonna have fun with my woes. Like it's not even like, who are your woes? Don't keep them around. Your mom doesn't want to meet your woes. No. Don't.
With my woes.
But you're like,
I do know how that shit goes.
I do know. They know how that shit goes. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Drake, I know how that shit goes. You don't got to tell me, dude.
Like, even thinking about, I was listening to Know Yourself, and it's the Trench sounding song.
Yeah.
And it's like, Ethan had the Subaru hatchback. And I'm like, wait a second, hold on.
At this point, you're...
Subaru hatchback is a nice... You're reminiscing about the Trenches. That's a nice car.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
that's
but the
a $40,000 family car.
Yeah, the Trenches are the suburbs, too.
It's
Get
Ethan.
out.
Ethan is whipping this and is like, oh, man. Ethan in the Subaru hatchback. Like,
man, life is terrible.
Were you guys going to soccer? Like, what's going Oh, my God. Please don't kill me, Drake.
My second highest high was the classic mix of melodies and rapping. This was super balanced. This was Drake in his pocket. He was doing both. And I thought that was like really well done this time around. He knows how to do it. He's capable of both, and that does rule.
1000%.
Yeah, Kendrick's no singer.
No, he's not.
He's no singer at all.
And Kendrick is no singer, but I'd say like neither is Drake for real.
Really?
If you put Drake with the singers.
Oh, well, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not comparing him to Mariah Carey.
Or even...
But he can carry a tune.
And that's the promo right
That's
there.
the pod, baby. That's the pod.
But like even like a Chris Brown, even like a Party Next Door, even the people that are in his camp.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes to... I was like listening to this, and again, I feel like I'm being very critical for someone I was a very big fan of. I was just like, he knew that he couldn't. He's skilled enough of a rapper to be with the rappers, and he's skilled enough of a singer to be with the singers. But when it's time to be which one, not necessarily which one are you, as if that has to be a choice. Chris Brown already being like a fantastic version of that. But when you are maximizing your skill, which one are you really? Yeah. And I think he's always just been able to like switch back and forth. And but when he's going, he's going. It's
true. Yeah. That actually, you know what? I thought of a hot take just now. Yeah. And that's going to spawn our first mini game, Hit or Full of Shit.
All right, let's do it.
So I'm going to throw out one of my old ones and give you this hot take I just thought of. Do you think him so Hit or Full of Shit, record scratch, by the way, for my own self editing this in a minute. Hit or Full of Shit. Do you think him being conflicted about, like, so you mentioned that he's like, not like raps enough to be with the rappers, sings enough to be with the singers. Do you think that kind of like bleeds into the whole him being like mixed,
10,000%.
where he's like too black to be white, but too white to be black, and that absolutely has seeped into his soul.
Everything.
Yeah, it has seeped into his soul.
Crisis.
Yeah,
it's to his soul.
Yeah. Because, like, I know that's like the number one thing Kendrick's been calling him out on is, like, you're not black enough, is the wildest
But
part.
Now here's what's crazy is that's also Kendrick affirmed Adonis's blackness before he affirmed Drake's, which is crazy. That kid looks like what Michael Jackson was trying to be. Like, that's crazy. And Drake's like, that's a black man, that one. And it's because Drake just doesn't want to pick. Yeah. You can even say of just like, you can, and even just Cole, for example, being in the part of this conversation. Cole is mixed just like Drake, but none of it has ever been in question because J. Cole knows who he is. Yeah. And part of it is like, I think with Drake, it's like, I wonder who he is when he's not in the rooms that we are
accustomed to seeing him in.
Him, or even just like when it's like as the largest act in music, you are more than accustomed to being in spaces where you're the only person of color in there. Who are you being when you're in that room? Because when you come out here, we see at this point we're seeing the biggest mobster in the world. I'll touch you if you da 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 da. It's very, very scary, almost to the point where it's like, again, almost hyper. It's so hyper this way, that like, it's overcompensating. Yes. So what are you?
Because like I see through that like mobster shit. It's crazy.
It's crazy. But
who the fuck do you think you are, dude?
But it's also just like you're, and I'm sure if he has to defend that in real life and the real people that he's around, I'm sure there are people who do that and will do that. Yeah. I don't know about all that, but that's over there. Yeah. But we are compensating for something because who are you when you're in the other room? Yeah. Where it's now time for you to make change for the music industry, and maybe you go independent. And maybe you start to set a new trajectory like Kendrick did. PG Lang and all. It's like there's a time where you buy your freedom. You've earned the ability to buy your freedom on your fourth record at this point. And you just said, I just want a bigger deal. And this is the same thing that you did with Certified Lover Boy, and you signed that massive deal with Universal right after. So it's a thing of like, when you're going over there and it's time to sign the contract, who are you being when you're over there?
Yeah.
And we can smell that off of you.
Yeah, we can smell it for sure.
that. And that's why I think that's the thing that Kendrick is. But it's like when it's time to be with us, oh, you're gonna talk super duper. You're gonna do all that.
Yeah.
Because you know that's what works with us.
Do you think Drake is ever alone?
No, because then he'd have to be with his thoughts.
Exactly. I don't think he's ever been alone.
No.
Like, oh my gosh, it must be terrible.
Even on this album.
It'd be like a drinker like stopping. You know, like I'm talking a drinker stopping. Like that collective hangover will kill them. I imagine if you put Drake in a padded room, he'd absolutely lose his mind.
Or find it.
After the crash.
It would be like a Netflix movie montage where it's like it would. But yeah, I don't think that man is at this point trying to be, and I think he's spending money in a way where it's very evident that he doesn't want to be alone, but there aren't long-term people around him that aren't there on salary, which is another thing that Kendrick says.
Right.
Which, yeah.
But let's get, all right,
yeah,
second hitter full of shit here. So obviously the first one was a hit.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Drake being inauthentic doesn't matter because he isn't the only musical act to put on a facade.
Drake's
inauthenticity. When it comes down to it, doesn't matter because it's an act. He's selling it.
Yeah, I mean,
because like
is his bottom line always going to be fine? For sure, that's a very shrewd man. He knows how to get his bag. He'll be fine. Will his music matter?
I think it won't be looked on as kindly as it is now.
And that's and
that's like legacy, right?
That's legacy.
Like,
legacy is totality. We were talking a little bit earlier about we were sad about Tony Soprano dying, even though he deserved it.
Yeah,
it's the thing of like, because we saw in the moments when he could have been the monster, he chose not to be. The moments he could have not been the monster, he chose to be because he's this figure, but ultimately enough of those things were revealed to us where it's like, okay, there's something going on here. There's a rootedness.
You're a complex person.
You're a complex person, so your death still means something to us.
Yeah.
When
we've seen none of that complexity.
We've seen none of it.
Yeah.
So when we talk about what's going to matter, it doesn't matter right now because the numbers are always still going to be up. All he has to do is do a song with Dua Lipa, and then Drake is back, Summer Vibes, we are outside.
Yeah.
But in 15 years, when I'm talking to my kids or I'm playing the music or that I want them to know about or whatever.
Yeah. I'm not playing Drake to teach life lessons, dude.
Hands on your knees? Fuck no. Is that...
All right, yeah.
That's Child Protective Services opening the door right now.
Yeah, I think so. I'm biased because I think authenticity matters. Period. When it comes to creative work, and he has none. Nothing.
He has. I would push back on that.
Okay.
I would say he is very authentic in his inability to find whatever this thing he is looking for is. It is very clear that this man is looking for something, and he can't find it.
Yeah.
He couldn't find it in Rihanna, and A$AP Rocky, and being the biggest artist in the world, and being Young Money, and being an actor. And there's something he's looking for, and he ain't found it. That right there is real. Like,
I think it's like unintentionally authentic. Like we're all watching this play out in real time.
It's still authentic.
But he's not trying to, show us that.
Sadness is authentic, but it's still...
But it comes out in weird ways where we dissect it. He's never gonna be like, "Hey guys, I'm really sad and lonely," but like we all can read that, right? Because we just understand like the subtext.
Yeah, and that's I would say it's I would say he has. I wouldn't, and that's why I would say he doesn't have none of that because like even on Certified Lover Boy, which is the album that for me was my demarcation point where I was just like, I think this is the point where I say bye to this ship.
Yeah.
Yeba's heartbreak on that song, on that album, to me is powerful. That song sends you into a space, and the crazy thing is like he's not even on that song. It's just Yeba. Yeah. But when you listen to the thesis statement of that song, that's when I was like, oh, all is not okay in whatever's going on with Drake right now. Yeah. And this is a thing that is being made from somewhere where the camp is not okay. Yeah. And because just that right, it sounded like you were entering into a very deep void. Yeah. And he knows how to paint that aesthetic. I'd even say the aesthetic is authentic, which is
okay.
The aesthetic is
the aura. Yeah.
The aura is very authentic.
Yeah. But like his sort of denial of it is the inauthenticity coming out.
Or even the substance that makes the aura.
Yeah. That's fair. All right. So, okay. So hit or full of shit as far as the inauthenticity doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I'd say it's a little bit of both. I'd give that one.
That's a coin toss. That's up to you guys. You know what? Why don't you comment below?
Let us know.
I have horrific engagement, so you know what? Go ahead and comment below.
We're gonna change that. This one is the one.
This one's the one. All right. The last one. Element is a Drake diss. Hit or full of shit.
I'd say it's in opposition to whatever Drake is saying. So I'm going to say that's a miss.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because, like, I would say I take Kendrick for his word. When I catch flight, it's going to be direct.
Fair enough.
So just because we are in opposition together and our vibes are in opposition, sometimes when you paint a mirror and you put them together and you put those things next to each other, it'll look like it's a diss because what our vibes are, even though we're in separate lanes, they're completely like in opposition to each other. And that's why Kendrick has never been like, you look at even just how the industry is revealing itself. So many people who we thought were quote unquote fans of the boy really don't like this guy. Yeah. And Kendrick has been from jump like, I really don't like this guy. I don't like this guy. It's like, I just don't like him.
This is your God?
This is him? This is your sixth God?
He's Moses coming down the mountain. He's like, what's this calf?
What is going on here?
What's this guy?
So with that, like we've seen that happen. And, oh, dang, I forgot the point. Where was that? I forgot the point I was making.
Element being a Drake diss.
A Drake diss. I'd say their vibes have always been opposing forces. Yeah. But and it's now coming ahead into this moment. I wouldn't say was he probably picturing Drake in his head on a couple of those bars?
A little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because he's like he hates everything Drake stands for, and I think he decided to make Element about that. You make a good point. He made Element about everything Drake stands for, and like if you just remove Drake from it, he's still gonna hate it, even if Drake's not there.
Exactly.
And so you make a good point.
Drake is just the personification of that. Yeah. Whatever that thing is that is in opposition to whatever Kendrick feels like his specific mission is. Yeah. Whether it's whether it would be Ye or Jay or whoever, I think Kendrick would be one of those that's just like, hey, yo, I'm not with it, but when it comes time to talk about it, we'll talk about it. Yeah. And he very much.
Should you choose to shoot?
Should you choose to? This is your mission. Should you choose to accept it? And Drake accepted it like an idiot.
Yeah, what an idiot.
Much love, but my God, it was just so bad.
All right, well, that ends Hit or Full of Shit. Thank you for playing.
Of course, thank you.
So back to the highest highs of if you're reading this, it's too late. My final one was Wayne's verse on Used To. And like it's a great verse. Wayne still rules. Wayne has never not ruled.
He's never not.
I even brought up Wayne when we were talking about Flower Boy. His verse on Flower Boy rules. Like, it's just good. Like,
it's really good.
You hand him, like, a prompt, and he's like, cool, and he'll just nail it.
I would honestly say I'll retweet on that highest high. I think that's Wayne. Wayne has really, like, I said this earlier, when Wayne, even at his worst, has never failed us. Wayne, I genuinely think, and this was in 06, 07 was when I first moved. I moved to the United States in 06. And that's around the time that Nas released his record, Hip Hop Is Dead, because it was a very stark time in
It was
hip
a
hop.
dry time.
It was
in
a
hip-hop.
dry time. And it was
dry.
like the lollipop. No, not the lollipop, but it was like the. It was the ringtones. The ringtones were everywhere. And that was really kind of the thing. And I think Wayne single-handedly took us out of that era.
Yeah.
Is because Wayne knew how to sound like the ringtone,
Yeah.
but that dude was always rapping.
Yeah.
He was always like if you listen to what he did on Canon and the mixtapes, my God, like he has always showed us the numbers and the power of hip hop. But my God, when it came down to rapping, Wayne is still in shape. Listen to his verse on JID's record, Just in Time.
Oh, right, yeah.
Wayne went nuclear.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's still like it feels like seeing someone go Super Saiyan every single
Just
time.
like
Wayne
riding
raps.
a bike.
It really is.
Just like riding a bike.
Wayne is. I put him in that Rushmore. Like Wayne deserves to be in. I think Wayne's humility to never really have demanded he be put on the Rushmore, considering what his family tree looks like.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. He's like, I did
Cool.
what I did.
He's always surprised. He says something and he's just like,
well, did you ever see him? Yeah, he's like, word. Yeah. Did you ever see him?
That's like,
Someone,
damn, dude.
someone read him his lyrics from like the Lollipop remix, and he's like, damn, who wrote that? And he's like, you. He's like, I did that. He's like, that rules.
And it's even the Carter. I don't know if people ever gave the Carter 4 or the Carter 5. It's just listen. Let It All Work Out to me is the most powerful Wayne song ever, because it really tells you again his story, and it puts everything in totality.
Okay.
Where it's like even down to finding out the time that he got accidentally shot as a kid was him trying to take his own life as a young kid.
Oh shit.
And then him telling this story of just like, this is who I am and this is what I've been through, and I'm still low key kind of in it, but I'm also still Wayne.
Yeah.
Like, or even just like songs
Complex
like Mahogany.
characters.
That dude, whatever. It's Wayne, bro.
Yeah.
And also on the flip side, you know who Kendrick Lamar's first big co-sign in the game was? It was Lil Wayne.
Was it? All right.
Wayne has given us a lot in hip hop.
Yeah.
And I agree on the third. Like,
yeah. It's the highest high of the record.
it's the highest high, and it's gonna go into probably my lowest low.
All right. Let's move into lowest. Yeah. Wait. Do you want to do highest highs of? You want to do this by record or by highest?
I want to do it by record.
Okay,
I would like to do it by record.
So we'll move into the lowest lows on Drake, and then we'll move into Kendrick. So the lowest lows of, if you're reading this, it's too late. So we can. I'll just get us started. Or you had a caveat, or not caveat. You had a segue into this.
The biggest one is probably on that song is knowing that after hearing all of the context, particularly as provided by Kendrick, of just like, maybe Wayne and Drake have had a little bit of a contentious relationship. Yeah. And it was like a lot of it realizing that, oh man, this might be fake.
Yeah.
And that record particularly sounding like those guys are subbing each other a little bit, or at least a little bit like Drake is trying to forcefully take the crown from Wayne.
Yeah.
And he's complaining about record label troubles. Like, I want more money. Well, who are you going to ask more money to?
Yeah.
It's Wayne. He's your immediate supervisor in this Cash Money empire. So, and this is supposed to be the guy that's brought you on the level of even just respect. And we're seeing a lot of respectlessness coming out of this guy. Yeah. Even down to feeling like, oh, you're talking down on the man who brought you in this, and this feels weird.
It felt a lot like the Prince killing the king, and but that was a narrative Drake decided to take on. Yeah, no one needed that. There was not a peaceful transfer of power. No, that everyone knows can exist in hip hop. We've seen it. Like, people pass the crown all the time. But he's like, no, I gotta be, the Scar that kills Mufasa.
Exactly.
And I was like, why are you feeling so scrappy about this? Like, what? what?
It's like it's like, don't they understand that it's Me or Nothing on a song with Lil Wayne, bro?
Yeah.
On a song like it's Me or Nothing on a song with Little Wayne.
Cool.
With Lil.
Yeah. The audacity.
What?
The audacity. Yeah. My first one, and I try to keep these pretty light. Like I'm like going for Wayne's Throat was not on my list, but I said despite this being amongst his best work, it is the longest record of all time.
It's so long.
It's really long, and like to even put it like in perspective, it's like Drake is a magician in the sense he can make an hour feel like 2. It's like, oh my god, like. Because again, there's about a 20-minute difference between Damn and this, but it feels like an hour difference. Like
it feels like me eating McDonald's.
Yeah,
like a lot of it. Where you're like,
this tastes great up top, but by the end, I am sick of it.
And I'm full. I'm so full.
I take a lot of walks, like in prep for this, this podcast in general. I gotta walk a lot so I can listen to albums and focus. And I'm like, even by the end, I was like, I feel worse. At the end of this walk when normally I'm energized.
By the numbers, people who listen to Drake run slower than people who don't.
Interesting.
Like a similar tempo music. There was it was very interesting. It's like Drake music makes you run slower.
Oh man, yeah, I felt worse at the end of these walks. I'm like, ugh.
It's very weird, and it was like, he has to do the extended version. And if this is his classic.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm even gonna be honest with myself, this is an album that could be 35 minutes.
Oh yeah,
35 cream of the crop.
It would
minutes.
be killer. It'd be a killer 35 minutes.
Oh my gosh, even 40 minutes.
Take a page out of punk bands, dude. Punk bands are like 30-minute record, bang.
And we're gonna go into Damn. Damn has a 7-minute record on it.
Yeah,
and because he's going to go into everything about his life and family. And
also, but just like compositionally, he knows how to make a song compelling for 7 minutes. We learned that with Euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
Like Euphoria, he made a 6.5-minute diss compelling throughout.
Feels like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
I have cycled through that song so much.
Oh yeah, it's like probably my favorite one from the Beef.
And the fact that this is maybe one of Drake's shorter albums, if not his second shortest album. Honestly, never mind.
That's such a crazy fact.
That's a crazy fact.
Because it feels so long.
If you're like, okay, we got it.
Yep. You get it. You're the sixth god.
You're the sixth god. Man, this is a lot. Like, it's...
So yeah, that was a low is how long this felt.
Music is supposed to help you, like, not feel time.
Yeah.
If I feel every second...
Yeah. Well, I talk about that in comedy. If your 5 minutes on stage feels longer than 5 minutes, you're doing poorly.
You're doing bad.
You're doing poorly. Same thing in music. If your song that is 3 minutes long feels like 10 minutes, it's terrible.
And that's also part of the thing of, like, he always has to get a couple hits off.
Yeah.
Or a few or 5 or 6 or 10 on an album.
But yet he still overstuffs his albums, all of them.
All of them. That was the big thing when everyone's like, Scorpion might be his classic, and Scorpion is
like 6 hours long.
Scorpion is as long as a Scorsese movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. It's his Wolf of Wall Street.
It really is his Wolf of
crazy.
It's his Maximalist, even down to the Michael Jackson AI feature.
Oh my God, another one. What's your second lowest low?
Second lowest low is there are truly some bad songs on this album.
Yeah.
Like, I will say them by name. Like, Preach with him and Party Next Door. You could have super kept that.
Mm-hmm.
That song sucks. Wednesday Night Interlude. That song is 4 minutes. That's not an interlude. That's just a song.
Yep.
That's just a Wednesday night.
Yep. Jesus.
You talked about Six God. I don't like that song.
Oh, okay. I didn't hate it.
Or even Star 67. I like the second half of Star 67.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are Company. I don't like that song either. You and the Six sounds like he's talking to his mom, but also his ops.
I think yes. That's a great segue into my next lowest low. The corny bars are so corny. Dude, everyone's entitled to a whiff. Everyone's entitled to a whiff. But when the corny bars hit in this one, they are corny as hell. I have two in particular. The I Need a Girl from Kentucky is tough. Because we live within a stone's throw of Kentucky. And
no, you don't.
And brother, no, you don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah, you do not want that.
The girls that go to University of Kentucky are not from Kentucky.
No.
Stop it.
Go outside.
Go outside in Kentucky.
And
you
then,
will discover how black you are in real time.
yeah, dude, it's tough there. God. And then the other one was from the song you mentioned where he's talking to his mom. He's like, he let me shoot a gun once is like the lamest shit a rapper could ever say, especially on a record where he's trying to flex.
This is the sixth guy.
This is the sixth guy, and he's like, he let me shoot a gun once, like he's McLovin in Superbad. He's like, check yourself, fool.
Was it Ethan with the Subaru hatchback?
Yeah, it's like there are holes in your story, my guy.
So many.
He let me shoot a gun once. He's like,
no
okay.
one in OVO was just like, hey, bro, like you let me shoot an AK once, or Drake. Dude. You're a Drake. Get a Draco.
Is
like
the
not
corniest...
just a gun. Like, but it's even on Star 67. It's like in the brand new Beretta.
Yeah.
Can't wait to let it go. Which one is it?
Corniest bar.
Which one is it?
So corny, horrific. So yeah, those are some low fucking lows. And do you have a last one?
My last low. It's gonna be in 6 p.m. in New York. He set himself up.
Yep.
It's try to act your age and not your girl's age. Are you sure you want to make that accusation, buddy?
Tough bar now. It's a tough bar.
I didn't say it.
That aged like milk. Aged like milk.
Like, literally, like you're trying, like, ugh.
It's terrible, dude.
So that's a low where it's like, I didn't say, you did that. That's all you, bro. I'm
going to do one more low, and then we have hit time for our second mini game.
Right,
so we're gonna. My final low here is the interludes where he has Jamaican sound bites are terrible, and this is the beginning of the culture vulture shit. This is the beginning where he's like, I'm gonna go somewhere else, and I'm gonna completely get engulfed in the culture of these places, rip from them, and bail. And this was the beginning.
Oh my God, 10,000%.
And it's terrible. It's even worse in hindsight. Like, I think in the moment we were all like, the moment we were like, all right, this is fresh and new. Yeah. But now that it's gone on for like
Jamaica,
a decade,
Toronto, Canada.
But now that this action has gone on for a decade, it aged poorly.
So bad.
Just like everything else.
And because he's had enough money to be able to buy enough of the aesthetic is authentic. The places that he go, like, I'm sure those are real braids that he has, but his.
Was it the braids?
Getting braids when you're 37 for the first time is crazy.
Was it the braids?
Is it the braids? Also, I think an underrated thing about it, Kendrick is genuinely funny.
Oh yeah,
he's funny, hilarious. Like,
was it the braids?
Was it the braids? I remember when I see you next to Sexy Red, I believe you see two bad bitches.
Yeah,
I was just like,
I bet you pop ass with them.
I was like, what is this? Okay, this is a real thing. Oh my God, it was amazing.
You're not a man. You're not black enough.
Brutal.
But this brings us to our second record scratch of the day.
Yep.
This is a mini game called Legal Defense. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
The game is Legal Defense, and I would like you to pretend to be a lawyer and defend your client's lyrics.
Oh my God, let's do it.
The first
it's
one.
It's gonna be scary how good I am at this. Watch.
The first one is Drake. In the song No Complaints, which is by Metro Boomin featuring Drake and Offset. Great record. You utter the lyrics, I take home your baby. What do you have to say about that?
Aubrey Graham could be an undercover agent for Child Protective Services. And... No.
could be.
I take home your baby. what's his sentence looking like?
Yeah. Dude, the thing is, like, because like even in the context of that song, I was listening to it the other day, and he's like, the take home is crazy. You know, he's talking about his concerts.
Mm-hmm.
I take home your baby.
It's
what?
I mean, obviously, I'll take your girl. That's what it obviously means.
I mean,
it's just
baby.
I'll take home your baby. Like it's just like.
I guess that's the thickest defense you can come up with is hopefully he means girlfriend.
Hopefully he means girlfriend.
Or I make enough money to steal your child.
Angelina Jolie.
Yikes. The defense rests.
Angelina Jolie. So, the next one.
All right, the next one is a Kendrick Lamar bar. You are defending Kendrick here. Poppin' pills in the lobby, and I pray they don't find her naked in backseat freestyle. What could your client possibly mean other than sexual assault?
You know, in the world of rap, there's storytelling involved.
Of course.
Some people tell Wolf of Wall Street stories.
Mm-hmm.
Some people tell mob stories. I would say knowing Backseat Freestyle, particularly to be a song where Kendrick is playing what a maximalized version of himself within the industry would be akin to saying, this feels in line with something that had Kendrick Lamar stayed K. Dot, this could have been a real thing about K. Dot's life had he entered into the larger music industry as K. Dot. I think what happened, and particularly in the song Backseat Freestyle, there's a whole lot of metaphor at play in that song. Particularly with the most iconic line of that song being, I pray my dick as big as the Eiffel Tower so I can fuck the world for 72 hours. Clearly, this is not a man
I see.
whose imagery is rooted in reality, nor in what he sees as right. Because Kendrick Lamar, being a man who knows so intimately what the vibe is asking, knows that the world does not want him to have a member as large as the Eiffel Tower and for him to consummate love with the collective of humanity and the place we call home for at least not more than 15 minutes. Like 72 hours is crazy.
Sure.
So
it's hyperbole.
It's all hyperbole on the persona of K. Dot.
If it does not fit,
The glove
you
didn't
must
fit.
acquit.
You must acquit.
B minus. B minus. All right. Finally, counselor, your client Drake has titled a song "Child's Play." How would you like to defend your client, given what we've learned?
Guilty. Followed by Teenage Fever. Yeah, guilty.
Money can't buy you a good lawyer, Drake.
It buy you a great one. It can't buy you the judge.
Can't buy you a judge. Yeah, can't buy you the win. That's tough. Well, thank you for playing the minigame Legal Defense. That was very fun. And now back to the show. We are now reverting back to On a Pedestal to talk about the highest highs of Kendrick Lamar's Damn, and then we will move into On a Spit for that, and then we'll move on to Turntable, and this will last easily our longest episode.
Let's go.
So let's keep it going. Highest highs of Kendrick. Do you have one that you would like to get into?
For me, personal is gonna be this album dropped on my 27th birthday.
Yeah,
Can't beat that.
That's true.
Favorite artist dropping an album on your 27th birthday and
Yeah.
it being a Pulitzer-winning work for me on a personal level. This was a spirit. 10,000% that.
And I think it's worth mentioning for those that may not think 27 is like a seminal birthday. It is. Mm-hmm. It's a seminal birthday for anyone in the creative industry because the 27 Club is such a real and talked about thing that, like, I remember when I turned 28, I was like, I made it.
Yep.
And so, like, turning 27, you're like,
actually, no, I'm wrong. Not 27, 23, which is another big one. 2017. It was 27. For some reason, I keep thinking it was 20. I was turning 23.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
still,
there goes mine.
Nobody likes you when you're 23.
Yeah.
It's you're going into your 20s for real.
Oh, yeah. It's when you're entering, it's like fresh out of college, adulthood is officially knocking. Mm-hmm. Here we are. And, your 20s blow.
They blow. And you're discovering yourself. So, for me personally, that's just an easy one. This album dropped on my birthday, and it was...
Yeah. My first one is the song Feel. It is exactly what Drake won't do, which is use I statements.
Yep.
I mentioned this before when we were just chopping it up before we started the pod, but Kendrick uses I statements a lot, and you learn in therapy that, like, those are the best ways to share. You like, even in meetings, right? In like 12-step meetings, they tell you to use I statements. Don't talk about others. Don't talk about others. Drake, to me, is so outwardly focused. It's crazy. He's so focused on who's coming at him, who he's better than, who all these things, all outside. Like, Kendrick is so introspective. All of his records are all about him, and I think is like really comes together in Feel, because he's like, I feel like this, I feel like that, it's like it is questions without answers, it's statement without answers, there's no real like reprise to it, there's no like moment where it all comes together and makes sense. It's just purging, and I think that song rules for that.
God, it's a beautiful song.
Like he's like, and who the fuck's praying for me, that kind of thing. Like, it's talking about loss, it's grief, it's just going through everything that you're feeling, and it's so in tune with it. And like, I wish I were more like that, and so I think that is one of the highest highs on the record.
10,000, and I think that even as a whole, like, Feel is I feel like nobody can do that. I feel, and it's just like, it is that internal. He really knows how to make that internal monologue.
Ooh, he even has a Gemini tangible moment in there where he's like, "Fuck your feelings," like he just switches, and you're like, "Yep," because like I've gone from like those hard pivots before, like when I'm going through it. It's just so relatable.
And he knows how to make like that inner voice that everybody is shadow boxing and or really boxing with feels so tangible, because he has at least not necessarily come to acceptance with what it's saying, but he is he's aware of it, because that is, whether it be his ego that he is grappling with, and he understands that even though all of the things or a lot of the things that he says I feel like are notably not true. Yeah, it's part of the lie of sometimes, or being a human, is like, I feel this, I feel that, I feel this, even though that may not be the case. But just the openness in being able to say, I feel like, and because you're telling us how you actually feel, because this is who you are. Yeah,
this is what's going on. Just being legit, and that is the whole thesis of the beef.
and thesis and. Drake has never had a thesis statement.
Right.
We liked, if you're reading this a lot, what is the thesis statement of that album?
Drake. I'm next, despite being on top. Like,
but then that's also
I'm
like
outside.
I'm outside. Even like the singing records or whatever. What is the thesis statement?
Right. He's never had a singular focus. No. Like, he's never been value driven, which is like ultimately the difference. Like, it's like, I think I bring this up later. It's the entire beef is an argument over values.
Oh my God.
And he has none. The bag.
The bag is the value. What is the value of the bag?
Exactly. It's arbitrary.
Like, everything is, even he's Mr. Branding. He wears so many things because, and I mean, it's just like even us as people, like, not even just like trying to continually project everything onto him, but like even America, it's
Drake's a walking NASCAR. Like, he's just decaled up.
Decaled up.
Like
And
he's
so many people walk around, including myself at different points, have walked around trying to be decaled up of like, okay, I'm an artist, I'm a comedian, I'm whatever. Well, but what is the person though?
yeah. I'm just trying to be David, dog.
I'm just trying to be David. Like,
Yeah.
even like, if he had gone by Aubrey Drake, that could have been a hard ass name.
Yeah. Nope. I'm Drake now. All right. What's your second highest high?
Second highest high, I would probably say it's, my God, the music videos. The music videos on this album are, Element is my favorite music video ever. As
Even
a
Humble was
filmmaker,
really compelling.
Oh my, all of them. And it was the thing of like, you could tell that these guys are, and even on the liner notes, seeing Dave and the little homies being the ones that directed this thing, as someone that was very much at that time formatively too. I think I had just made my first short film, not 3 months prior, and then a month, and then 2 months after I went after this promotion at the job that I was at, and I didn't get it, and I was like, oh my God, I thought this was where my life was going, and da 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 da. So I'm consuming art for survival, and then seeing these very masterful music videos, and it's like, oh, they had their hands on this too. Yeah. It was so visually. Yeah. It was like, my God, those music videos are gorgeous paintings.
Yeah. They're like, so good.
Element is maybe the most visually arresting music video, I think, to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, it just speaks to more how like everything that Kendrick does is such a complete thing. Mm-hmm. Nothing feels incomplete. Everything is thought out. Everything has a place. Everything's like, it's just so robust.
It's 5 years worth of work.
Yeah. Not 1.5.
5 years worth of work. Yeah. And it feels like that.
Yeah. And there's enough to pick through to last you the 5 years until the next one comes out.
52 minutes.
Yep.
And
we're still talking about it.
We're still talking about it.
Yeah, I made that point when we did To Pimp a Butterfly, where it was like, this album is about an hour long, and there is like, I don't know if you guys have like listened to Dissect at all. It's like a podcast on Spotify. There's like 20 episodes of a singular podcast about an hour of content. You know what I'm saying? Like, picking it apart, dude. There's like, the Dissect guy did 2 hours on Euphoria alone. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's so condensed.
It's condensed. Yeah.
I think him, I don't know if you've ever been a fan of Earl Sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. I love Earl Sweatshirt. Him and Kendrick, for me, feel like very similar sides of different sides of a similar coin or dice, where
just compelling poetry where it's just packed in there.
Condensed. That was one of when I first started listening to Earl, that was one of my main criticisms. It's like, bro, you're just saying so much. Yeah. I'm flowing as hard as Vince Carter's knee cartilage is. I was like, what? Like, that's crazy. That's great. Like,
it is wild. My second one is Fear. You brought it up. It is a high, man. It's 7 minutes of just, it is just a clinic in rapping from different perspectives. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like things of being able to get outside of yourself, rap about the same subject from a different perspective. We had seen it in Good Kid, Mad City. We had seen it on To Pimp Butterfly. It's just something Kendrick's so good at, is really looking at the same subject from different angles, being able to get outside of himself, and just like, what does this look like from this person's perspective? Like empathy, which is just something that I'm not sure Drake has.
And the ability to indict himself. Yeah. Kendrick always indicts himself in his music. Mm-hmm. And there is a self-indictment of just like his... Because, I mean, this is an album, even when you listen to how he talked about it, just like, this is a very spiritual album, particularly around like his thoughts around the end of the world, what is God, that all of that. And to the point where Fear is like, his why God do I gotta suffer pain in my heart? Like, if I could smoke fear away, I'd run and realizing that in his fears and his desire for control, he actually has very little of it.
Oh God, isn't that something I talk about in therapy every week?
And then to put that on a record and be like, all right, I'm gonna do this on a tour for 100 countries. Do you guys want to hear me talk about my fears. Like, it's
yeah. You want to talk about them?
We're gonna dance. Crazy.
All right. What's your third one?
I was actually gonna put Fear up there. Fear
Okay.
is like when you talk about a thesis statement of an album.
Yeah.
Like there is. I mean, since you already said Fear, I think I might do one different. I'd say XXX.
Really?
Because there's something that particularly about the picture that he paints, and I think it kind of leads into what he ended up doing with Mr. Morale, was really starting to paint the picture of like, yo, I'm not like this perfectly healed,
Fair.
this idea, like particularly with the bar. Kid, can you pray for me? I've been up a day for me. When his friend is telling him about what's going on, and then his response is like, "Hey man, listen, if somebody killed my sons, that means somebody's getting killed. Like I know you came here looking for Bible and Jesus, and he's gonna make a way. Nah, bro. Like,
dude, which kind of adds fuel to the fire that Kendrick is the guy, dude. Like Kendrick's the guy, and Drake isn't. Like, cause like Drake always acts so hard. He's like, I'm gonna murder the ops, and I was like, Kendrick's he might do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's killed a guy. He's
talked about how many.
He's talked about killing dudes.
I've shot. He's like, I've
shot people.
The very first time I shot me a Drake, like he was. Yeah. Like it's.
He's killed a guy. Drake had that bar where he's like, he let me shoot a gun once.
Kendrick starts off, he's like, yeah, I saw a guy die when I was 5.
Yeah.
That's how he started his career.
Right.
And
so Kendrick's that guy.
It's like, yeah, are you like that? When this thing was starting off and people were like, nah, Kendrick is just gonna pop out and then leave for 5 years. I was like, I've never heard him like this.
Yeah.
I've never really heard him be like, because we've heard him allude to it. He's never really been like, yo, I got it on me.
Yeah.
Like, for real. And, like, it was just like, everyone's like, yeah, it's you. I'm like, he's being serious.
Yeah.
He's not kidding.
He might kill someone.
Yeah. Hey, why does he wear red all the...
Yeah. We're all just, like, dancing. Like, we're like that Jay-Z meme where he's like...
We're like, yeah. And it's like, okay, yeah. Cool. It wasn't, and that I think it was. If you're reading this, was the mask being put on and invented and drawn off, and I think this was the unmasking.
Yeah.
On both sides, it was just kind of like, even just to the cover art, like it feels like of Kendrick, like he looks not well.
Yeah. He does not look well on the cover of Damn at all.
That's what he's saying. He's like, I'm not well.
Agreed.
I'm trying to get there.
My last one is, and this one's very basic. It's like, this is a Pulitzer Prize winning concept album that works both backwards and forwards. I mean, come on. These highs, man, they're win. Like, I don't think he's gonna win.
Like, look at what this man is able to continually do for the culture of hip hop.
Yeah.
For its prestige, but also in the quality of album.
Dude, the quality of disses. Yo.
Meet the Grams. As soon as I heard Dear Adonis, I was driving, I was like,
this guy.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry this man is your father.
I was like, dude, oh my God. It was like Hitchcockian. And I think even just down to like how this man has been able to paint a picture within songs. He's been studying how people always knock the little voices, but it's like he's studying how those little voices help you see a picture in a wider lens.
Dude, it's just multiple brushes, man.
Multiple brushes.
Bob Ross used one brush, but like people use more. People use more. All right, that brings us back to On a Spit for round 2 for the lowest lows of Damn. What you got?
Lowest lows. I would probably say I didn't like God.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Jesus. Didn't like God.
Yeah. In case you're listening.
That's what God felt like. That one was like.
Yeah. I think my first one is also God, but specifically the ha-has. Yeah, I was like, this is pretty weak.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
all right.
I'm like,
we could have, we could have kept.
Yeah, we just complimented
We
you on your
coulda kept that one
multiple
for Darn.
voices.
You could have
but,
kept that one for Darn, bro.
Yeah,
Like, that one.
yeah.
Yeah, God, not for me. I mean, God is for everybody.
Yeah, so that was my first. My second was Ya does not have a lot of replay value for me.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah?
I love that song.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like for some
Driving
reason. Yeah.
and just on a summer day, especially it's like, I think it was also just the whole time and place. I remember when I just needed to hear a song that felt like the ether, but really nothing. Though.
Sure.
And I was just like,
for me, that's the Solo and Comfortably Numb.
Never heard that one.
Oh, it's Pink Floyd. That's a classic.
Okay. But it feels like that.
Yeah.
And it's like funny enough to have Bono later on in the album, who's more known for that.
Which is also one of my lower lows.
Yeah. I mean,
I hold a grudge against you two.
I mean, is it the phone thing?
It's the phone thing.
It's the phone. Everybody,
get off my phone.
Get off my phone. They fumbled.
Yeah. It's called consent, Bono. All right? Don't put it in me that I don't want it.
All right. So this is a low. So my second low, even though it's a high, it is hilarious. So this was with the song Lust. So my best friend Zach Wyckoff, we were at our buddy's wedding. Like our buddy Sam, we're all former roommates. We lived in like college house, like a bunch of dudes. One of our guys like got married, so all of us like go up. Everybody's got a hotel room. Me, Zach. Yeah, it was just me and Zach. We are in the same room. And I go out, me and my other roommate Raleigh at the time, go out later after the wedding, and then I come back, and Zach has just like, context, he had been drinking so much because he said, "This is the most drunk I'm ever gonna get in my life," and I said, "Bet."
In your life so far.
So and anywho, it comes up, I get back up, and there's just everywhere.
Oh God, Zach, no.
Yeah, and I get it. He's like, I threw up. I'm like, all right, time to be the good bro. Let's take it to the bathroom.
If you guys want context on who Zach Wyckoff is, look at episode 3 because
the most Christian, darling human being that has ever lived on the face of the earth.
I made him listen to Deftones, which is a very fun episode.
But anywho, so Kendrick. I said Kendrick. So Zach is throwing up, and then after he's like, "Bah," he goes, "I need some water." Something came over me, and then he starts rapping like a lot of the lyrics. And I was like, "What is that?"
That's crazy. Who knew he had it in him?
I was like, "This is my best friend.
I need some water."
Something came over me. I too high to hit the ground. But it's over. And mind you, I'm losing my mind.
That's so funny.
So it's a low that was actually
a
high. That shit was hilarious.
That's fair. So the lows on this are clearly not that low.
No.
They are simply not. Because
it's a Pulitzer-winning album.
When we were going in on the low, dude, none of this compares to
I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you dress.
Walk. Yeah, like none of the lows match let alone the corny bars. You know what I'm saying?
He
like
let me shoot a gun once.
He let me shoot a gun once.
And also the thing of just like what it meant to the culture and like what eras were ushered in, and also what you're trying to do. Like, yeah, the lows are real low. It's like, oh, this is where something went wrong with someone that we really care about.
Yeah, that's
like,
that, and that's not even like. That's just kind of living life.
That just sucks. It's like sometimes people choose to be the worst version, and then you see where it starts.
Yeah. And
it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Of like, if you're reading this, it's too late.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, it might have really been.
Yeah.
I wish we were actually listening.
Yeah. It really was too late.
It really was too late.
Because I think he was also, like, Drake was giving up on the culture at that point, because like I know like he's like the culture's not like, because like after that everything was streaming based. He went right for the bag.
He just went But he always. But that's the thing. He went for the bag.
No, but like with intention.
Oh yeah.
I'm leaving behind wanting to make a classic hip hop album because we know he had tried. You know, like Take Care, nothing was the same. He was trying.
He wanted to.
He wanted to. And this, if you're reading This Is Too Late, kind of feels like you said a self-fulfilling prophecy of like, fuck it.
But then he also and then Views. So where do you put Views in his discography if you have it?
I mean, like,
because some would argue that one is the classic.
Yeah, and like it's fine. There's some good ones. You know, like Child's Play, I make fun of it because it aged terribly, but that's a good song.
Feel No Way. Finding out that Feel No Ways was a Future song originally is kind of crazy. But Feel No Ways, I loved Feel No Ways. To me, that was like, okay.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, high highs. But like, God, that album's long as shit.
It's so long. It might legitimately be 2 hours.
Yeah. I don't care.
And 2 hours to tell us that summer's ending.
Neat. Summer 16's D's.
Like, Summer 16 was a great summer. And I would say that's the thing, is like Drake has given us some summers.
Oh, yeah.
And now, funny enough, again, these albums were made by two people who were in a similar stage of life. One was 28, one was 29 when they make this album. They made these two very defining albums, and it's like one was trying to give us a summer, and one was trying to give us like just life.
One was trying to give us a legacy,
like life, legacy, all of the things that we contemplate, the stars, all of that.
Yeah,
it's like, but
one was just trying to give us a summer.
A summer.
Yeah, damn. I think that goes to show the greed of Drake. Like Drake's a very greedy person. You know, get the bag, get the bag, get the bag. And so that means all he's willing to give us is a summer. Meanwhile, like Kendrick, don't get me wrong, he gets his checks. That's fine. But he's willing to give us far more than a summer.
Far more. Even at detriment to him.
Yeah. It's true, because that's all Mr. Morale was about. It's like, he's like, I am not the savior. I wanted to be.
Even detriment to his sales numbers. What this beef also proved is like, if Kendrick wants to give us
Bops,
one of those.
Yeah. I think he proved that like what Drake does is not that hard for him.
It's not that hard for it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. He's like, what you do, I can do in a day.
I can do it. Not like us would like, that's crazy. And that song is just like, oh yeah. It's like everybody want to be demon till they get chipped by a throwaway. Like that.
Yeah. He's like, I don't give a shit about this song, and it will still do numbers.
It will still do the craziest numbers.
Yeah, it just showed. Yeah, I remember feeling that way, like in middle school. Like it was just being like, I don't care about this, but I'm still gonna be better than you at it.
Yeah,
and like that rules.
It's
all right. I think that brings us to our final section on a turntable. These are some of the deeper questions. We may have grazed over a few of these topics, but we've made it to the end. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. I'm trying to get up to 100 subscribers by the end of the year.
Now we're gonna get to 1,000 by the end of this video.
I love it. I love it. Manifesting.
Let's do it.
All right, so on a turntable, these are questions that are a little more deep about the records. In our case, it's about the beef. The beef seems like an argument over values. They've never been aligned, and I think that's why neither will sway the other, right? Like, it was because like they both are aiming at different targets and kind of throwing strays at each other, even though they are directly speaking to each other, but it's like they're going after each other's values, or at least Kendrick is.
Oh, yeah.
Kendrick's going after Drake's values because he has none.
Yep.
And like, it's like, so if you remove the spectacle of rap beef, do you think there's a way to bridge this fundamental gap between these artists, or is it like a lost cause?
I think that's where the test of time has to come in, and the test of time is coming in. It feels like at this current moment in time, I think because Kendrick has been so benign about how much he didn't like this dude, for him to jump out and to do it in such a force, for me, it's and looking at what's even happening on the back end, on the back end of even their numbers, like Kendrick's back catalog is up 49, Drake is down 5%.
Yeah.
And I think right now we're testing the weight of each value.
Yeah.
And because Drake does have values, quote unquote, Like,
Well, his value is like, all right. So there's two definitions of the word value.
Yeah.
There's like the values that you strive to live for, but there's also value you provide to the culture.
I mean, I think
You
the
know,
things
and
that you
like-
live. I mean, every person's like what goes in comes out.
Mm-hmm.
So Drake is a man that values pleasure,
Yeah.
and those are his
Hedonistic.
values.
Yeah.
It's very hedonistic. He loves pleasure. His values are
Like opulence.
opulence and all of those.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's like, as people who present things to the world, like, we've got families and people bonding over rap beef.
Yeah.
And which one are people going to play at a cookout? Is anybody going to be playing push-ups at a cookout?
No.
Probably not.
They're gonna play not like us.
They're going to be playing that one, though. So over time, it's this thing about what we're adding into the sauce, because the sauce is still being cooked, but it feels like there's a lot of totality that is being realized in this current moment, even if you get into politics and all that. So I think it's like not even like swaying one or the other, because that feels like more immediate. I think one's just gonna fade away. To be quite honest.
Yeah.
Like, and fading away looks a lot different for a lot of folks, but I think that's what we're gonna see happen.
Yeah. I also just don't think there's a way to bridge that gap between them to make them understand each other. I don't think there's a way to get Drake to see Kendrick as anything but, some frou-frou fucking heady nerd. I don't think there's a way to get him to understand that Kendrick is just on a different level. Like, as far as like the way he thinks.
Yeah.
Like, he's just operating at a higher frequency, I would call it. And I don't think there's any way to get Drake to like fundamentally break down his own facade enough to be like, damn, I am kind of an imposter.
I don't even say an imposter. I'd say look at the video for first-person shooter mode. Drake has built a statue unto himself. Literally, that's how that video ends. So, if you look at history, and it's the story of Ozymandias. Just like, look at my great works, and it's really just your feet and the dust. And I think not even like realizing, I'd say Drake is pretty, his ego got so big.
Yeah.
And you can't even recognize that there's something that might be above you.
Yeah.
Or something that, and you could see that in the way that he was moving. And this was just the day where it was like, nah, this is the actual lay of the land.
Yeah.
It's the end of Wolf of Wall Street. It's like the party's over.
Yeah. The party is over, and he'll probably just go back to making his club hits, and that's fine.
But for who, though? The 40-year-old?
Well, there are people out there that still stand Drake. I'm on the subreddits, man. Like, there are people that are just deep.
And we will watch it. I say let's see what that looks like in a year from now.
Fair. Yeah, we'll revisit.
When he has to, he's always been able to re-up when he's at the top.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, is like, remember who I am. I'm at the top. I'm at the top. This is me. But when you're not, though.
Yeah, what now? All right, next one. These records being a prime example, Drake seems to be outwardly focused while Kendrick is a lot more introspective. I've already mentioned that, the I versus you statements. Is one perspective more valid than the other? This is like a personal question for me, like that I think about a lot, is like, is being introspective more valid than being like outwardly focused? And does it really provide you some kind of moral high ground? So that's something I think about a lot, is like, because I'm introspective and I'm so self-aware and I'm so heady and like all these things, it provides some kind of moral high ground for me. And I actually genuinely tend to think that the people who are incapable of that are dumb. And like, that kind of makes me a piece of shit. And so I wonder, is there really any inherent value to self-awareness? Like, that makes it, like, that gives you kind of a moral high ground to stand on.
I don't really like the word morality, just because it feels like an incomplete word. I think of things like weight. Like, is there a value to self-awareness? Yeah. So you don't do dumb shit.
Right. Yeah.
Some things are so
but
simple.
But does it give you any kind of weighted high ground over someone who's vibing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
if you're playing a game where you're comparing the weight of selves, of like, is myself more weighty than yourself, or does it hold more value? I think playing that game just ultimately ends up being in detriment to yourself,
Right.
because there's always a bigger fish. You might be the big fish one time, but it's also, if we're talking about decision making, like does this self-awareness, or this path of self-awareness I'm taking me on, does it allow me to have peace with people amongst me? Does it allow me to be a good hang? Does it allow me to be able to, because I know, maybe it's not fun to just interrupt people all the time.
Sometimes I feel like my self-awareness is a detriment to me being a good hang, though. Like, just because, like, I get all, like, dicey.
And
like,
then that's part of the learning thing, is just like knowing to also know when to be a good hang, because part of being self-aware is to know when to get out of the head. And just to be in the space. So is there value to it? 10,000%, because when you're so outwardly focused and you're making you statements, I believe that the vast majority of accusations are really just confessions.
True.
So even down to, you should act your age and not your girl's age, and knowing that self-awareness is so key. Yeah. There was just such lacking there, where it's like, that's dumb of you. That's dumb.
That's crazy you said that.
That's crazy that you said that.
Crazy you said that.
That's the mixed kettle calling the pot black. That's
yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that brings me to a good point of our final question of the show here. It's we saw both of these artists swing low during the beef. Has that changed your view of how you view either of them, and what do you think the long-term impacts of this beef are going to be?
It confirmed everything that I knew about Drake, and I think it was really a confirmation. Yeah, it was a confirmation. Well, really, if you've been listening to this conversation between them for a while, and the things that they've been saying, this was a confirmation. Where it's like, well, one of these is not like the other.
Yeah, and like we all knew it. We just wanted Kendrick to say it.
Well, we just needed someone that has enough weight to be able to say it.
Yeah,
because it's the authority in being able to say it. Like, I don't think we wanted Kendrick to say it. I don't think we wanted Kendrick to say anything at all, because by the numbers, I mean, some of the streaming numbers were starting to go down for the boy, but he was still up. Yeah. So by the numbers, somebody liked Nickelback. Yeah. So until you know, so but it had to be someone that held the weight and be like, all right, let's clear this up. Yeah. So.
Because like I think I did. So like honestly, dude, Meet the Grams did kind of make me be like, I don't know, man. Like it was tough. It was dark. You don't feel good after listening to Meet the Grams. You don't feel uplifted. You're like, this kind of went to a space I'm uncomfy with. And it did kind of alter. I was like, oh shit, Kendrick is kind of a piece of shit. Like, and like,
how but like, so?
But just kind of like, I don't know, because like the daughter accusations are still up in the air, you know, of whether or not like that's actually real. But like,
does it sound like Kendrick is lying?
It doesn't, like, no, because he's a convincing rapper. But
does Kendrick have a track record of lying to us?
No.
So I think even if it's not true, my guess is Kendrick probably believed it's true. Sure. And the thesis of Meet the Grams is just to pull up a mirror. I think Kendrick, he's willing to pull up the whole mirror.
Yeah. And but just like Meet the Grams, like that was the point in the beef where I'm like, I kind of got tired. I was like, oh no, like this is getting dirty. Because Euphoria was really lightweight, even though it was like really jabby. It was like still lightweight and fun.
We're having fun. This is a friendly thing.
And then Meet the Grams was like that meme of Mr. Incredible, like that's just like gray, like, and everyone's like,
And part of it is also, I think what Drake has done, and not even just Drake, but this culture comes from a dark place. Yeah, This is hip hop is at points, and I think even at its purest, is in art form our people, particularly the Black American experience. So I have to say that as an African man, it is the Black American experience put into song up until this moment in time, and a lot of that is unresolved, very dangerous trauma. Yeah. So when it becomes this thing where the root cause of it is still unaddressed and it's still something that is creating more Kendrick Lamars or more NBA young boys or whatever, and this pit is still open, somebody needs to go into the pit and say, this is what the pit actually looks like.
Yeah.
Are you sure this is what y'all want?
Fair. That's a solid point.
It's somebody had to say it like this.
Yeah. This is the pit.
This
dude.
is the moment everyone was like, oh, somebody might die over this.
Yeah. I was like, oh.
It was like, and that's part
and like,
of the
I guess
thing.
maybe it's because of my inherent whiteness. I'm like, I don't like it anymore.
Are you like that? And that's the thing. It's like Kendrick has been speaking in very self-authenticating statements throughout this whole thing. And also, the music has been very self-authenticating of just like how much he's been able to forecast what was going to happen, even down to I can predict your angles.
Yeah.
It's because, again, like he is that guy, but also this is the culture.
Yeah.
The culture is trying. The culture is beautiful,
and he's
but
like
it's not pretty.
And he's a student of the culture, unlike Drake.
He's a product of it.
Yeah.
He's a literal product of the culture.
Yeah.
And he has manifested the culture to being able to make the thesis statement that it needed to make up until this moment in time.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it didn't change anything for me in my mind, but like Kendrick's still that guy.
He's still that guy.
He's that guy.
He's like that.
But like it didn't really change anything for me with Drake either, because like I had already kind of witnessed, it's like, this guy kind of sucks. Like he makes hits. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy them. But like he is not the guy. Like as far as like he's not the person that makes me think. He's not the person that makes me do anything other than go outside in the summer and listen to God's Plan on a boat. Which rules. But like it's not
God's
the
Plan
thing.
was like, oh my God, I think I added 1 million to those streams.
Yeah.
Song ruled.
The song was great. But he's not the person that's gonna make me deep dive into anything. And like that, like his like, thanks Kendrick for pointing that out to everybody. That rules.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I very much see. I'm curious to see where the culture goes from here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
They might cancel Euphoria, the show.
I think they already did, because like one of the actors died.
Oh, did they already cancel it?
I think they're not coming back for a 3rd season.
Oh, I did not know that.
That show was so troubling. That show is so troubling.
It was, and that's the thing is like when you see that come out, we need to Meet the Grams.
Yeah, fair. That's
we just need it. We need it for a vibe cleanup. We need to Meet the Grams. Where it's like, oh, so that's what really troubling is. You know what? We want. Let's make it dance. Keep making me dance in my hands, and there won't be no threats.
I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he acts tough.
I'll show you what tough is.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, we believe you. We believe you.
All right. Well, David Chimusoro, thank you so much for coming to the Full Spin Club to talk about this.
Thank you so much, man. This was a ton of fun.
Awesome. I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and we'll have you back. And for everyone else, if you like, comment, subscribe, do all the things. If you made it this long, holy shit.
Long pod.
But congratulations on making it this far, and hell yeah, we will see you in the next one.
See you next one.